Hello there and welcome to the next video in the series of videos by members of King's Chamber's costs team aimed to assist the profession in preparing for detailed assessments being conducted by way of remote means. This short video will deal with some of the more basic principles and functions of Adobe Acrobat Pro. If you haven't used it before, this might be useful for you. We're not experts in Adobe Pro, but we do use it in our practice, and hopefully this will be useful for some of you. So we're going to start with some of the more basic features of PDF Pro, and that obviously starts with how to make a PDF, how to create one. So in Pro, you have the tools up here on the left-hand side, and you can click on Create a PDF. Once you've done that, it will give you a number of different options. So you can create a PDF from a single file, which already exists in some other format, be it Microsoft Word or Excel or something else. Multiple files can be linked into one PDF. You can use the screenshot function, something from a scanner, a web page, a clipboard, or even create a blank page. I'm going to show you two of these. Web page is the first one. You can see there, I've already entered a Barley page. I press create on that. It will just take a few seconds, but it doesn't take very long. And there we are. That's the web page for JXA against Kettering Hospital, created into a PDF very quickly and efficiently. I suspect, however, the most frequent tool that you will use to create a PDF is to create from a Word document that already exists on your computer. If you're doing that, you can click on single file, select a file, and that will open up all your files on the computer. Click on the file that you want to change. So for today, we'll use Bundle Index. Just unclick Use Adobe Create PDF Cloud Service, and that's not necessary, and click OK. And that will, again, quickly, once I then press Create, that will quickly produce a PDF.
And navigating around documents, generally the tools are set out at the top line. That set of tools can be put to the bottom by pressing the button that looks a little bit like a ruler, 4 or 5 in from the right. But generally keep it to the top. It's most accessible there. Fairly self-explanatory, and most of you will know how to do this, but some useful functions. The up arrow and down arrow obviously navigate between pages. The arrow that is inserted there is not necessarily always on. You might have to insert it with pressing a right click and then showing page navigation tools, and you can insert any onto that toolbar, any of those page navigation tools. Previous view is a particularly useful one, because if you have a heavy PDF document with many hundreds of pages, you don't have to scroll up and down using the sidebar to get to the previous view. You can just press that and save yourself a lot of time. The page numbers are obviously set at 1 out of 2, and if in large documents, you hopefully will not need to use the index that much, because you'll be able to have hyperlinked or bookmarked navigation, but you can type in the page number that you want to get to there. There's then obviously select tool and then magnification, zoom in or zoom out to any specified percentage. And then next to that, there's a page view tool, I should say, with fit, and where you can fit to the width of the page, or fit one full page, so as to make it easier to read. I've explained what the next icon is, that effectively docks the toolbar elsewhere. And then useful for it's useful for adding comments in relation to any particular page is the sticky note. That's the comment, effectively the comment box, and you can click anywhere and add a note to give yourself a reminder, and it then minimizes itself, so you'll be able to hover over it and you'll see what it says. After that, obviously, probably the most widely used tool in navigating around PDFs, as far as I'm concerned, is highlighting relevant text in large documents to make it stand out. And that's, you can choose your color, choose your opacity, and highlight certain excerpts, for example, from judgment, like in this case, Wraith judgment, which we're all familiar. Highlight a set of the phrase from the judgment that you need to rely upon, and that will stay as long as you have this PDF saved. Those are the useful functions at the top of the bar. You can restrict, when you share a document, in order to allow somebody else to edit it, you can restrict permission by clicking on the Edit PDF icon at the side of the screen, and you can restrict editing. So when you send it to a client or a colleague, if you're working with them, you can set a password to enable it to be edited, just to give that extra level of security. You can go even further than that and restrict even opening the document with password protect, which Kevin will talk about in a moment. One final feature that I use a lot, particularly with older documents, is the Scan and OCR button at the right-hand side. OCR is optical character recognition, and so if it's not created in a font that PDF Pro recognizes, at least so far as search is concerned, so traditionally those fonts that were created with Word, or more recently, most judgments that you'll find now you'll be able to search easily, but older judgments you may not. So for example, in Re-Gibson Settlement Trust, you'd have to convert that to text that PDF Pro would recognize. To do that, you can do it by one page or multiple pages of the whole document, and you press Scan and OCR, and you press Recognize Text in this file. You could do it in multiple files, but we'll do it in this file because it can take a long time. It can take some time depending on the speed of your computer with larger documents. One page or all pages, and we're just going to do one page for the moment. Language and settings recognize text. So go to English UK, won't make any difference for this, fortunately, but get it right. Recognize text, and the computer works on that. And now that is a searchable document. So we either Control F or whatever you wish to search for, find a phrase. If we look for taxing, it will then recognize every phrase, whereas it wouldn't have done beforehand on that page. So Scan and OCR is really good for old judgments. It's really good for medical records and clinical negligence claims. You're looking for a particular medicine or a particular prescription that isn't that easy to find. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close to it. So it'll always need double checking. But that's a useful function as well. I think Kevin's going to talk about password protecting now.
Yeah, password protecting, nice and easy. Ordinarily, if a password has already been applied to the document, it will be on this left-hand side, just underneath the Save button, where the bookmark and thumbnails options are. There will be a padlock there. This document doesn't already have a password on it, so in order to put a password onto the document, we go down to the tools on the right-hand side, the toolbar again, and click on Protect. Once that is open at the top, it will give you a number of different options, one of which is Protect using password. And it's as straightforward as it sounds. Once you click on that button, a box will come up giving you the option to protect with a password, and you can protect either from viewing so that the document can't be opened without the password, or simply from editing. And Paul touched earlier on an alternative way to lock editing. We're going to leave it at viewing. We're going to type a password in. I'm just going to put costs1 for now, which is obviously a very weak password, but for our purposes that's fine. And then we can click apply. That now means that the password costs1 is necessary to open the document, and you can see there confirmation on the bottom that the file is protected from viewing using the password. So I'm going to close that now, close the document. You can see here it's called rhbundle example.pdf. It now has the word secured in brackets, which shows in a different way that it has a password attached. So I'm going to close that. We're going to then go back to home and open the bundle again. Now it needs the password. So in order to open that document up, I put the password in and open it up, and now we can see the document. You can see here on the left-hand side the password indication button, which is now on the left-hand side. It wasn't there before, it is now. If you want to take a password off a document, the easiest way to do that is to click on that document, on that button. Permission details will be the option which comes up. Click on permission details. Another pop-up box will come up, and you can see there right in the middle that the security method is currently password security. You can change that to no security. Click OK. And now the password is removed. Remember to click save to save the changes. And now that document has the password removed. So if you're transmitting documents securely between you and your opponent or you and the court, you might wish to apply a password. But if you're keeping it locally on your own computer and you don't wish to have to enter the password each time you open the document, you can see how easy it is to take that. So those are some of the more straightforward features of Adobe Pro, and in our next video we'll talk about some of the more useful features when it comes to preparing bundles for detailed assessment hearings.